There's Trudeau and there's Pierre. Oral questions. Questions orales. Honorable Leader of the Opposition. Here we go, folks.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Never before have we had a Prime Minister who was so ashamed of his own economic update, and we now know why. Years after he said there would be no consequences from doubling the national debt, we now have a Prime Minister who's going to spend more next year on debt service than on health. Once again, why does the Prime Minister want to give more money to bankers than to nurses? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, it would be more credible coming from the Leader of the Opposition if he hadn't spoken out against our historic deal to transfer $200 billion to the provinces over the coming years for health. We are here to invest in producing results for Canadians, but the Conservatives are just there for austerity and cutbacks. With respect to our economic statement, we've invested in housing, historic levels, we're helping bring down grocery prices, and we're investing in good careers in industries all across Canada. We will be there in a responsible way for Canadians. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition. Canadians who open their fridges only to find that there's no food in them and they have to go to food banks. After 8 years of this Prime Minister, they're already experiencing austerity in their daily lives. And the Prime Minister wants to make things worse with another $20 billion in inflationary spending. He's increased inflation and interest rates at the expense of Canadians. Will he finally reverse his inflationary policies so that Canadians can eat? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, I think the Leader of the Opposition's logic is a bit faulty. He rightly finds that Canadians are struggling to afford groceries, but he's proposing government austerity as the solution to help those families. But that's so far-fetched, Mr. Speaker. We are investing to help families. We're investing in housing. We're investing to bring down and stabilize grocery prices. We're investing in
they're not doing a good job
for the future. Meanwhile, the Conservative Party is voting against dental care for seniors, voting against assistance to companies that will help grow jobs. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
So ashamed of his own economic update that he wants to avoid talking about it for the week that follows. We can understand why. Next year, he wants to spend $53 billion on debt interest, a record-smashing amount that is higher than the amount we spend on health care. Works out to $3,000 for every Canadian family. According to according to Bank of Nova Scotia, this is going to increase interest rates by 2 full percentage points, or $700 a year, directly attributable to this government's deficit spending. So will he get a control of himself and control of his spending so Canadians can get control of their mortgage costs?
Mr. Speaker, I will admit openly to you and to others in this House that the media didn't cover our fall economic statement as much as we would have liked last week, because they were so busy talking about what a terrible week the Conservative Party had on Ukraine, on allegations of terrorism, on attacks on Atlantis and jobs in Southern Ontario. Yes, the media were totally wrapped up in the Leader of the Opposition's terrible week.
Did I miss something?
Focused on investing in housing for Canadians, on stepping up, on more competition to helping grocery prices, and moving forward and creating great jobs and careers for Canadians for decades to come.
I haven't seen any backlash towards the Conservatives, so I'm not sure what he's talking about.
Opposition. Well, maybe he should just give the media even more money to cover the news how he'd like it, Mr. Speaker, because we know he's so desperate to debate me on the carbon tax, a debate he's been losing badly. Canadians overwhelmingly want him to axe the tax. That's why he panicked and flip-flopped to take the tax off for a short time, and only for those people who are in a region where he's plummeting in the polls and his caucus is revolting. With 2 million Canadians forced to go to a food bank, will he stop thinking about buying himself better news coverage and start thinking about the Canadians who have to buy themselves better food?
There you go.
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, it's interesting to hear the Conservative leader again attacking the media, particularly on a day where we stood up and arranged a deal with Google to make sure that local journalism, that independent journalism, that the work that our news media is going to do is going to be able to stand the test of time through this transforming times we live in. The leader of the opposition continues to want to stand with big data, with internet giants, to sidle up to his billionaire buddies down south. We're going to continue to stand up for local journalism, for the work that professionals do to support our democracy in small towns and communities right across the country.
This guy has lost his mind.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
On the carbon tax, because he knows that Canadians know they can't afford the cost of food, as he intends to continue raising taxes. And so instead, he tries to distract with media buyouts and by censoring views with which he disagrees. So will he have the courage to actually defend his carbon tax as 2 million people line up in bread lines like those we haven't seen since the Great Depression? And will he support our common sense bill to axe the tax on the farmers that feed us?
Yeah. Do what needs to be done, Trudeau. Drop your ego.
Speaker, Canadians right across the country, including and especially our hardworking farm families, are seeing the impact of climate change increasingly every single year. It has become glaringly obvious to everyone, except for certain MAGA conservatives, that the fight against is a fight for the
That's
of our economy.
Interesting accusation.
Cannot separate fighting climate change from growing good jobs and a strong economy into the future. And yet, that is exactly what the Conservatives continue to say. We put a price on pollution, we're putting more money back in Canadians' pockets, and we're creating great jobs for the long term.
Thanks for watching the video to the very end. If you'd like to subscribe, I've made it very easy. You can do so by clicking right there. If you'd like to watch another House of Commons highlight clip, you can do so by clicking right there. And if you'd like to subscribe to my main channel, Mistersunshinebaby, where it's all Canadian political news, then you can do so by tapping up there. Subscribing is absolutely free. There's a button down below that says subscribe. If you'd like to join and become a member and financially contribute, you could do so as well. Thank you so much for watching this video.